Hey, it's Jeff Roberts out here at Giga Texas. It is day 88, can you believe it? And we are doing another Sunday Fun Day, Talk and Fly, Construction Disneyland style video. But because it is so doggone windy out here today, and because it's so empty on the field today, I'm gonna change up the format just a tiny bit. I'm gonna do commentary, but I'm gonna do it in post when you can actually hear me instead of hearing this wind. All right, well, let's go fly.
Okay, here we go. Now, we're starting out in road here. And here is the basic foundation area. We are going to be right here at this point, the far northwest corner. And we're going to go this way to the south on the property. We're going to hit the first retention pond 1. We're going to hit retention pond 2. We're going to check out the Switchyard area, both the temporary as well as the permanent. And we're just going to take a general look around and take a tour. We're starting off with this front northwest corner, which is where Swampy did a lot of work. The excavator with the amphibious shoes. And while it's not that diamond shape like on the left side, it is probably going to get there, but they really had a time getting all that filled in, and it took a while, but everything's looking good over there. They're just going to do some refinements as we go here. Right here, I want to draw your attention to the road between buildings 2 and 3. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it's just going to be 2 buildings with a roadway inside the building on the east side, but I think the site plan shows 2 different structures with a roadway in between. But Elon, I believe, mentioned in a tweet that the roadway is going to be inside the building. So it might share walls in the roof, but they may be 2 different lines. You know, one might be Y and 3, the other might be Cybertruck or semi, or batteries. So we're not quite sure yet. But anyway, that discussion's kind of been around for a while. And so that's what that kind of between buildings 2 and 3, as I call them, road is. And the foundation, I'm pretty low here because it's dead today. Hardly anybody is out. I think I doubled the site population when I showed up today, so not a lot of people out. So a good day to fly low and take a look at some of the grading. And it's still hard to tell, though. You know, I mean, you're looking at this and you're in the sky. I'm probably 30 feet above the ground here, and we're looking down. So it looks like this is the main center roadway between the 2 structures, the 2 buildings, the east and the west buildings. And honestly, I thought it went up, and it looks like it's going down. So, you know, I might just be confusing what I see on the ground with what I see in the air. So it obviously looks like that roadway is at a lower level. No, the roadway on the right, I don't know. You know, I'm going to stop talking about the roadway. We'll see it as it develops. I'm no construction expert, so we're just going to leave it at that. Now here is what I'm calling the performance stage, because it looks like a little bandstand to me. And at first, when this went up, I thought, oh, well, here we go. We're starting to go vertical. We're building a building. And then people started pointing out as they saw the video of it, oh, look, the foundation footers are different sizes. Now, is that true? These kind of look like different sizes. Are they experimenting with different volumes of footer? I don't know. The one on the close right side looks like it doesn't even have cement. So maybe they are testing 4 different variations or a couple different variations of footers and putting some load on it and seeing what that does, looking at the geopier effectiveness. So a lot of commenters have mentioned things of that nature. From the construction perspective, you know, you want to test the ground. You've not built on this ground before. You've built on similar ground probably, but each hunk of ground is a different monster. And so let's do a quick test. Let's see if the geopiers worked. Let's see what size footers we need. So maybe that's what this is, or maybe it's the beginning of the building and they're going to make a multi-floor office section at the front there, because this is the north side of the building, which is effectively going to be the front of the building. So I don't know. We'll see what that is, but it's exciting nonetheless because it's the first permanent, or what looks like permanent, three-dimensional structure on the site. Or as I said yesterday, it's great to see a three-dimensional structure on the site that doesn't have wheels. All right, we're going up to the geopiers now. The geopier on the west side, which is what we're looking at now, has just started. It just started last week. I forget which day it came over. I'll have to look at the videos, but this just started this past week, and they're already going to town doing multiple geopier holes. And it's a multi-step process where they first drill a hole, and then the geopier machine comes in and a little dumper dumps the material in, and it shoves it down that hole that was drilled. It's a pretty cool process. We've got some time lapse of that, a few different time lapses of that, but you know, you can only watch so much geopier action before it all starts to look the same, right? So we don't want to oversaturate everybody with geopier time lapses. So we're continuing down this kind of center road that's going to be between the buildings. There's going to be an empty space. The roof line might be continuous above this road, but it's going to definitely be a big wide area where trucks can come in and back in to docks and unload and load and do what they need to do from the center of the building, which is quite efficient because you can serve both sides of the building, the west and the east, from the same kind of alleyway. So that's a good idea. We'll see how that turns out. And here's our crane. Yellowzilla is what won on the Patreon question poll. Sorry. On the Patreon poll that I ran, Yellowzilla won. I liked Cranezilla. I know Randy from Terafactory, Texas uses Cranezilla, but I am loyal to my Patreon, so Yellowzilla it is. And also Joe Tetmeyer uses Yellowzilla, so we're all in good company here, no matter which word you decide to label that crane with. But and here's the foundation for, I believe, the casting machine, or one of the casting machines, and they're putting a barrier on top. At first I thought that was insulation between layers of concrete perhaps, but I was corrected, and it is a moisture barrier, I believe. And here is a stamping machine foundation, and they just recently widened the casting pit, which is where we just were, and it used to have kind of a puzzle notch on the right side as we're looking at it here. If you're looking at the top of the screen on the right side, there used to be a big notch there which allowed for two little sections, but now it's all one big section. So I think they updated plans, maybe based on Berlin or even Fremont, and they are now altering what they decided to do with this area in terms of maybe machinery. And so maybe we're going to see a second casting setup similar to that first one on the left. I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's exciting to watch. And unlike our normal video path, we are going to deviate here and go to the east instead of going west and coming back down, in the north. I should say back up in the north direction. We are not going to do that. We're going to go north, but we're going to go on this east side to just check this out. And before we get too committed to this direction, we're going to take a left. We're going to look left. So let's swivel to the left, and we're going to check out retention pond number 1. And so there's retention pond number 1. It looks pretty much ready to go to me. I know on that far side upper left corner they were still doing some work and getting some of that pond that's adjacent to it out of there, but I think mainly it's kind of done now, and what's there is going to stay there, perhaps. That's what it seems like at this point. And as we continue north, and we're almost going parallel with the 130 freeway in the north direction now. We're going to come up on retention pond number 2. We also have a battery change. It's so windy that the batteries wind down a little bit quicker than normal because you got to fight in one direction. And so here's retention pond number 2, I believe. And then above this, to the north of this, is the switchyard area. And we've got like a rectangle switchyard area kind of to the middle right side of this big chunk up here. And a lot of the rest of that may be parking or where they stash the completed vehicles before they get loaded up. I don't know. It looked like there might be a lot of parking or flat area there. And then to the right side, there's a little notch. And I think we're going in here to see if these are crew cars or if they're construction machineries. And they are definitely construction machines. They're not crew cars. There might be a couple crew cars down there, but mainly all the machines are parked today waiting for hopefully a big, huge week this coming week starting tomorrow. Maybe this is the calm before the storm. Anyway, that temporary switchyard on the right side is a little notch. So that's going to be where the modulars come in initially, and then they're going to move that to the permanent switchyard area. So that's what we know about that based on that site plan we just looked at the beginning. And here are the construction offices. These are the main ranger offices. And when was it? It wasn't yesterday. It was the day before yesterday. On Friday, I believe, they had a big meeting here. At least it seemed like it with the number of cars that were there. And so maybe some things changed, and they met with the crews and were like, okay, here's the new plan, here's the new approach. And so we're going to be taking Sunday off to kind of regroup and get everything situated and connect with the mothership and make sure we're all on the same page. And then we're going to go, balls to the wall on Monday, and it's going to be the new plan. So maybe, I don't know, I'm reading totally into a parking lot right now as far as, what that means to the project. But it's fun to speculate, and that's why we're all here. And it's fun to watch progress and to feel a little part of it, and to witness history in the making. We all know why we're here, and I appreciate you guys being here with me on this grand adventure, as well as the rest of the Quad Squad guys sharing this adventure with us. It's very, very awesome. All right, back to the video. Here are some trees. I'm going in different directions than I normally do in the daily videos, just to show some of the areas that we largely ignore, but this area is being ignored because there's nothing going on here. It's the area between the east side of the property that's currently being worked on and construction office areas, and there's just kind of some junk land down here next to the Colorado that I believe will eventually be transformed into the the community area with the walkways and the bike paths, and maybe even the bouncy houses. Maybe I can get a contract for that. But anyway, so I think, somewhere around either that area or to the east here is going to be that, or maybe it's going to string all along. It's going to snake around the whole Colorado area here on the edge of the land, because they own it all. So why not use it? And it is quite beautiful, when you're just flying above it and looking at it, and it's pretty sight. But I'm sure they can manicure this up a little bit and clear some stuff and just make it a kind of a beautiful little botanical experience with birds and flowers and fresh air right next to one of the biggest factories in the world. Isn't that amazing? I mean, I just love the juxtaposition of that, having a beautiful botanical garden next to one of the most productive machines on the planet. It's a cool idea. It needs to happen. All right, so we're continuing up here, and maybe here again, this will be more of the paths in the public areas. Hard to know, but we're going toward the new acreage, the 381 acres that was most recently purchased by Tesla, which we think is going to possibly be, look at that lone tree out there on the right patch. That cracks me up. It's like, how was that decision made? So we think, when I say we, I refer to kind of the quad squad, because we have these discussions in our group, and we think maybe offices, because it's already pretty level and a lot better shape than most of this land, and it wouldn't be too difficult to clear it and start, building some buildings, and maybe put some headquarter buildings or Neuralink, or who knows what could be up there. But that just feels like what it is, some offices, give them a little separation, put them on the same property. All right, we just flew over Martin Marietta, the operating plant. You can see just the edge of it, but it was right beneath us. And we're heading toward the Starship launch pad, where they have built a batch plant, or I guess 2 batch plants, because there's 3 conveyors per batch plant. So if there's 6 or 7 conveyors, then it's at least 2 batch plants, I guess, is the logic here. But either way, I'm just going to refer to it as a batch plant, because it all is clumped together into a big double batch plant, maybe. And we're going to take a quick look at this. It seems like they're ready, and maybe they have done some quick experiments just to make sure they got their mixes right and all the metal was screwed together correctly, because it looks like they have a little bit of limited raw supplies here on hand for maybe testing again. I don't know, total speculation, but they haven't started churning out concrete yet, which they don't want to do obviously before they're ready to pour, because that pig, which is that tank to the right side, you can barely see the corner of it now, that pig tank is going to hold excess concrete that they produce that's not transported yet or loaded onto a mixer truck yet. So they've got a little bit of buffer, but they don't have the kind of buffer they need for, let's start making concrete a week ahead of time. No, I don't think they'll probably do that. Seems like a pretty instant turnaround type of operation, which is why Martin Marietta set up a training camp across the 130. And we'll get to that in just a second and talk more about that. But that's also new since our last talkie video. Here I'm just flying over the batch plants, and yeah, you can see 2, individual plants here with 3 conveyors each, it looks like. And I thought I counted, there's 4 there on the right, and there's 3 on the left. So maybe the right plant uses a slightly different formulation. I don't know. Good question. And there we go. Enjoy the batch plant. I don't know when I last lingered at a batch plant so long, but it is interesting because it's not something you see every day, and it'll be even more interesting when it's operational. But again, it looks like they've pretty much wrapped it up. I don't see assembly operations going on now. It's just waiting for production, and there's some raw supplies there to again test with, maybe. Just a guess. All right, let's fly. Come on, pilot. Let's get out of here. Let's go to a new section. Let's see something else. Okay, and that little triangular area, some, like myself, say it's a retention pond or a detention pond that will be used in conjunction with the batch plant, but then it looked like they were drilling a well for the water source at the batch plant. And also the walls, as Joe Tetmeyer pointed out on this little triangle chunk, are not similar. And plus, look at those chunks of rocks they have. We just switched our exposure, by the way. Look at those chunks of rocks in there. That's not the way you prepare for putting water in something. Let's put a bunch of rocks in there. Or maybe you do. I don't know. It's a fish tank, maybe. So who knows what that is. But they were working on it. They specifically created it. And then it was over when they finished it. So I don't know what it's supposed to be yet. Same thing with this area. They did all this, kind of flattened this out, leveled it out, and now it's flat and level. So we'll see what happens. Maybe a phase 2 or what have you. This is Harold Green Road. We're coming from the north. We're flying northwest currently. If you look straight ahead, you'll see the tower for Austin Bergstrom Airport. And so that's the direction we're flying in. And that's how close the airport is, which is why we have to get authorizations every single day, which look like this. All right. So we're continuing down Harold Green Road. And this section that we're flying over right now and looking at has been done for a while, or it had gotten to this point and then they kind of left it. So I think this is just going to be paved over eventually, and that's going to be part of the parking lot for the folks working at the building. And now we're going to zoom to the other side magically. And this is the Martin Marietta training camp, as I call it. They had some pop-up tents up here, and we witnessed a few sessions, meetings. They'd all get in a big circle and talk about what the training plan is. But this is a training area in preparation for pouring the foundation. So this is it. We're getting close. It looks like, to me, those pop-up tents are down. There's less trucks here. There are less trucks here than there were. So it might be the training is tapering off and they're wrapped up and they've accomplished the mission of getting everybody up to speed on the techniques that are going to be used to pour the foundation. So this was an integral part of getting prepared and a good signal to all of us who don't know much that, hey, it's about to happen. We're about to see some cement trucks moving and grooving, and that means we're going to need to see some pump trucks from Keystone, the nice big red pump trucks. We're going to start needing to see those on site as well. And maybe, just maybe, this week is going to be the beginning of some serious cement work. And if that bandstand stage is a test platform to make sure that they're good to go before they really dive in and they make a determination in a few days or however long it takes, then it's going to be go time for those cement trucks and for the pump trucks and, getting this foundation underway. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm really, really, really glad that that we're sharing this experience together.
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that video, and please, if you want to support the channel, consider joining our Patreon. We also have a PayPal account where you can just put a one-time payment in to help support us. And of course, you can always buy the limited edition Swampy t-shirt. All right, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. If you liked the video, you know what to do. We'll see you next time.